Hello, and welcome to this video tutorial on writing academically, improving tone and flow by packing and unpacking ideas. This is an open education resource from the University of British Columbia, and it's produced with thanks to UBC Vantage College. I'm Alfredo Ferreira. I research second language development in academic and professional contexts, and I also teach academic writing. And we're here in Vancouver, British Columbia. Okay, let's get started. So who is this video for? It's for anyone involved with academic writing, from undergraduate students to school teachers to junior professors in any field. However, the tutorial is designed especially for undergraduate university students who use English as a second language and who are taking an academic writing course. And you're probably wondering what's involved. Watching this video, pausing the video to do the tasks, making your best effort with the tasks, checking your answers, comparing your answers with those we provide, reflecting on your understanding, and trying out these strategies introduced in the video when you write. About the tasks, when we set a task for you to try, we'll ask you to pause the video. At that point, pause the video and try the task. Very soon after we ask you to pause to do a task, the answer to the task is shown very briefly on the video. So you'll probably want to pause on the answer slides as well. At that time, review your answer to the task and the answer we provide. Think and compare ideas and take notes on any questions, issues, and breakthroughs that come up. Keep in mind that many of the tasks are relatively open with more than one possible answer. So although your answer may be different from ours, your answer may show that you understand the idea. Ultimately, it's the strategy for thinking through your writing that we'd like for you to learn. This video is about 50 minutes long, and doing the tasks should take from 1 to 3 hours. Almost all of the focus of the tasks is on the sentence level, which we consider the most useful for learning to adapt your writing to the needs of more concrete or abstract kinds of communication. We strongly recommend that you open a word processing file, such as a Word file, in order to record your answers to the tasks, as well as any thoughts, questions, and insights that come up. This can be an excellent basis for reflecting on your writing on your own, as well as with your peers and instructors and others who take an interest in academic writing. We hope the strategies introduced in this video will help you to write better drafts and to revise your writing more effectively. Okay, we're going to focus now on language in everyday and academic situations. And the first task. So read sentences A and B. What do you notice about the information in the two sentences? Pause the video here and try the task, making a note of your answer. The next slide shows our answer. As you probably noticed, the information in sentences A and B is very similar. They both refer to the relationship between medical attention and children's growth. However, the expression in sentence B seems more academic in tone. So sentences A and B mean very similar things, but they bring to mind different situations, such as the situations indicated in the figure and the photo. The figure represents a typical context of academic writing, while the photo represents a less formal, conversational situation. Try matching sentences A and B with either the figure or the photo. Again, pause the video here. And again, you might have noticed that the language of sentence A, such as growth rate, is abstract. This kind of language tends to be used more often in academic writing than in other situations. This use of language gives the writing its academic tone. In contrast, the language of sentence B is more concrete. This kind of language tends to be used more in everyday life and conversation, where we commonly discuss things and activities we experience directly. So in that case, we've got children who are doing something, they are growing, we have them being cared for, there are concrete activities. Whereas in the more academic sentence, we have an abstract idea such as children's growth rate. And instead of caring, we have this entity or this abstract idea called medical treatment. In this video tutorial, these are some of the areas that we'll be covering. The waves of concrete and abstract expression in academic writing, the uses of concrete and abstract expression in our writing. We're going to look at shifts from concrete to abstract expression. As part of that, we'll look at given and new information order in the clause. And we'll close by focusing on packing information in the noun group. Finally, there will be a chance for you to do some further practice of packing and unpacking information. Now, as you probably know, to learn any new specific subject area, like chemistry or sociology, we need some specialized ways of talking about knowledge. So in this video about writing, we'll introduce some vocabulary for talking about writing and language. This vocabulary helps us organize our thinking and knowledge about writing and language. And of course, it is your new knowledge about writing that we hope you will transfer to the writing that you do. Many successful writers don't use this vocabulary, but they generally achieve their ability to write over a very long period of time. The vocabulary we use here provides something of a shortcut to practices that successful writers apply intuitively, naturally. Also, I'll add that this tutorial focuses on one aspect of academic writing, which is the variation between concrete and abstract expression. It's an important one, but there are other areas to learn about, such as how we represent reality in writing, the organization of academic writing, which actually we touch upon here, managing relations between the reader and the writer through your academic writing. All of these major functions contribute to successful academic writing. Okay, so let's get back to our example of children in medicine. So while it's true that a sentence like children's growth rate benefits from medical treatment is more likely to appear in academic writing, in fact, academic writing is comprised of both concrete and abstract expression. Please pause the video here and read this slide. Okay, now we'll say a little bit more about concrete and abstract styles in academic writing. Here we have our two sentences as before. Now, concrete style uses more actions, real people and things, so the children are growing normally, and everyday words and ideas, like they were cared for by medical staff. The logical connections between ideas in the concrete style is often made by connecting words like because, so, and when. Concrete writing is freely organized with many short sentences, as we see here with two short sentences, that often change the focus, although in this example the focus is on children. In the concrete style, it's often the case that the focus changes. So the concrete style can be represented by this a pile of clothing that is loose and loosely organized. As for the abstract style, this uses more concepts that have special meaning in academic communication. For example, children's growth rate. This is, of course, an abstract idea. Medical treatment, another abstract concept. The logical connections often occur not with connecting words like because and with, but more often with, for example, verbs like effect or benefit, as in this example, growth rate benefits from medical treatment. So the logical connection is cause-effect connection. Also, prepositions are often used for making logical connections. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So the abstract style is more compact and controlled, which helps to focus on the key topic. So we can represent the abstract style with a suitcase where the clothes are neatly packed. We're going to use this image of packed ideas for the more abstract style and unpacked ideas for the concrete style. Okay, so we're now going to talk about changing a concrete style to a more abstract style. So packing concrete into abstract ideas. We'll ask, why write in a more abstract style? And we learn in this video that we write in a more abstract style to organize our ideas, to summarize our ideas. For example, when we use the ideas of other writers and we need to summarize them, or when we summarize our own ideas. We use an abstract style to classify ideas, and as we show in the video, we use the abstract style to pack a lot of thinking into a few words. And how do we change or pack ideas from a concrete style to an abstract style? We do this by changing the grammar of the ideas. For example, changing a verb, which is an action word, to a noun, which is a thing word. So we'll show you some examples of how this works, of how we pack ideas. And there we had growing is now a noun, growth. So before it was a verb, now it's a noun. In this video, you'll learn about these different changes that we can make from concrete to a more abstract style. Now let's consider unpacking an abstract style into a concrete style. Why write in a more concrete style? We write in a concrete style to provide supporting ideas and details and to make our thinking easy to understand for our readers. How do we unpack ideas from a concrete style to an abstract style? Well, again, by changing the grammar of the ideas, but in the other direction. For example, changing a noun, a thing word, into a verb, which is an action word. So here we have, for example, growth rate. Rate is a noun. And we're going to unpack that. And there we have an example of packing and unpacking. Here's another task. Consider the ideas and the language presented in this excerpt from a textbook. Now, what subject area and education level, school or university grade, do you think this text comes from? Pause the video here. You might have guessed that this is a school textbook. This writing is from a senior elementary, that is a grade 7 school textbook on science. And the next task, I'd like you to read this text and find 2 sentences in the text that express a relationship of cause and effect. Both sentences express a very similar idea about cause and effect, but they do it in different ways. One uses more concrete wording and the other more abstract wording. These 2 sentences are different from each other in the same way as the 2 example sentences that we saw earlier differ. Pause the video here. In the next slide, we'll actually provide you some hints. In this hint, you get to see other examples of sentences expressing the same meaning, but in concrete and abstract ways, and also we have now numbered the climate text sentences from 1 to 6. We'll pause the video here again before we present some other hints. Okay, if you had difficulty finding both sentences, we'll just show you here that sentence 6, in fact, is one of the sentences. The bunch grasses begin to grow again as soon as the soil receives some moisture, usually in the fall or early spring. Now we're looking for a more abstract version of this idea. Again, pause, and we'll show you the answer. You might have noticed that sentences 3 and 6 mean very similar things. So sentence 3 is the more abstract version of the cause-effect relationship between climate and plant growth that it is expressed in a concrete way in sentence 6. So successful academic communication through writing almost always requires us to express ideas in both these ways. We'll use this text about climate and plants to understand why this is so and how this understanding can help us to write more successfully. So what these tasks have shown us are waves of concrete and abstract expression in writing. Looking at this figure, we see darker shades meaning greater abstraction and the lighter shades meaning more concrete expression. The bold font shows words and expressions that contribute to abstraction. So again, what we see is that this text begins relatively abstractly, then moves to talking about very concrete things, about it being cold and harsh winters and cool summers, and then to the most perhaps abstract sentence in this paragraph, talking about the causal relationship between climate and this abstract idea, seasonal growth of plants. And then we move to these grasses that look a certain way, they are dead or they are alive. These are very concrete. And the last one again, relatively concrete. Only the word moisture here is relatively abstract. So what? Why is it useful to express ideas both abstractly and concretely, as we've seen in this paragraph? Well, different levels of abstraction help to organize writing. So the abstract version of the idea, for example, introduces and previews the information as a general academic claim. This is the role, for example, of a topic sentence. And by providing details, the concrete version explains the causal relationship in a clear way. It provides evidence for the claim. It might be an explanation or an illustration, an example. The two versions work together to help frame and fill out different kinds of academic writing, such as explanations, descriptions, arguments, and many other types of academic writing. Providing a little more detail, this kind of text is called a consequential explanation. And this type of explanation has two stages. A phenomena stage that defines or identifies a phenomena. So you see that climate is defined. And the next stage is an explanation stage that explains the consequences of the phenomena. So before we talked about the climate effects, the seasonal growth of plants is a topic sentence, and indeed it frames the explanation. And as we saw earlier, the bunch grasses sentence details the causal relationship with an example.